Hola, bon dia. Munson here. Chaos in the studio. Mrs. M's been in this morning with an early morning recording session. Couldn't hear anything. I'm panicking behind the scenes while you're watching the beautiful scenes of rural Portugal. I think I've got to plug me. Bear with me just 1 minute. There it is. The last thing I needed to have plugged in after Mrs. M keeping me on my toes this morning. There we go. That should be better. That's my internet connection properly plugged in. Anyway, enough of my woes. Hope you're well this morning. Hola, bon dia, tudo bem. Munson here from Good Morning Portugal, from expatsportugal.com. And Penny saying quite rightly, bon dia, and all. Andy the Doc Thomson will be with me this morning for Ask Anything About Portugal Day Wednesday. And others actually really getting the message now that Wednesday is the day you can ask anything about Portugal. No such thing as a silly question. Of course, with the Doc being here, with a lot of experience as a GP back in the UK, we have a medical and health slant on things as well. So that if you want to ask any questions of that kind, Doc will be here soon. He's on the school run, so he joins us a little bit later, which gives me a chance to tell you that the state of emergency in Portugal is going to be wound back down to a state of calamity, which in many ways sounds equally frightening, doesn't it? But anyway, I'll tell you more about that in just a moment after we've said hello to everybody this morning. Those of you who've bothered to say hello, anyway, a bit rude. Come on, everybody. I know there's lots of you watching, but only a tiny handful, tiny minority saying hello. So come on. Hit that keyboard. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us where you are. Tell us what the weather's like. It will be lovely to speak to you this morning. Will Thompson, for example. Hello, morning strangers. Been out of the loop. Hope all well. Hi to the Doc. Hey, Will, how are you this morning? Hope you're well. Good morning, too, from Jim White in Baltimore. And good morning to you, Jim, and Prosecco Peggy in the house, of course. Bon dia to you, Peggy. How are you? And hope you. I wonder. Yeah, I was going to ask you if you were drinking Prosecco already. Who am I to talk? It's a boozy week, actually, this week. We started drinking beer, creating entirely the wrong impression. Should anybody be using this week as a snapshot of what's going on? But that does give me a chance to tell you that we have a boozy few days coming up from tomorrow. We do have a very wonderful wine to share with you, thanks to the aforementioned Penny Albertella, who says good morning to me and Andy. Andy joining us in a little while, of course. What I'm going to do, Penny, is put your wine up on the screen for a nice change so that people can see what we'll be sampling. Penny goes to great lengths. She's in the UK, of course, and she goes to great lengths to find the wines of Portugal such that she can try them in the UK. Easier for us, or those of us who are already here in Portugal, to get these, including this one. Look, Wine 42. This is it. Villa de Corgos. Branco Bruto. It's a fizz, isn't it? That's always a lot of fun for me. Fizz goes straight to my head. So that's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. And then on Friday night, we're going to do this Battle of the Beers. Which is best? Sagres or Superboc? And then on Saturday night, so that was Friday. I did say Friday, didn't I? Yeah, Friday from 10, Battle of the Beers. And then on, and this connects with the relaxing of the state of emergency, which I'm going to tell you about in just a moment. Portuguese wine party. Raise a glass for freedom, respect, and health. Mayday, Mayday. 1st of May, of course, on Saturday. And I imagine Doc will have something to say about that when he turns up. And we are celebrating what looks like the final stage of deconfinement. I mean, notwithstanding, I'm sure, lots of caveats and guidance from the government, but pretty much, I think, a return to the greatest freedom we've experienced for many months, over a year now, in Portugal. So we'll be raising a glass to that on Saturday night. So let me just remove that from the screen and be back with you. See who else is saying hello this morning before we go to look at what the president has been saying about the state of emergency, state of calamity. It was, of course, Leslie who was first in this morning with a bon dia, everyone from sunny Faro. Sounds good. You're quick off the mark. Bon dia from Louise as well, who said this morning. Yeah, I think you like ask anything about Portugal, don't you, Louise? Because you're pretty awesome when it comes to asking questions and answering them as well now, from your knowledge of being in Portugal and your own excellent YouTube channel. Of course, subscribe to Solo 50 Plus Expats Portugal and to our own Expats Portugal YouTubes as well. Quite a merry gang of YouTubers, which reminds me, tomorrow morning, another one joining the fray of YouTubers of influencing around Portugal. Joseph Marsh, the farmer for fun, who has just started making videos. I thought, well, maybe he's been doing them for a while, but it just came to my attention that he's amassing quite a wonderful collection on YouTube, and a very popular lad from Fundão. Beautiful farm he runs there. Visited many months ago. Picked cherries. Hit Fundão at the right time, and the trees were full of cherries. And they very kindly gave me a box of cherries, box of eggs, and they have a most beautiful homestead, which Joseph showcases on his YouTube channel and all the wonderful work he does there. A great man, and he'll be with us tomorrow morning. Okay, so nonchalant flick of my headphone cable makes me feel like I'm worth it when I do that. And who else is here this morning? Let's have a look. Bon dia, meus amores. Look at you, Gary Austin. Bon dia from Joel as well, up in Matosinhos. Good morning to you, Joel. John Rooney's here as well. Good morning, all. Hi from Oregon, from Jonesy over there in Oregon. Bon dia, alegria. Doreen Race. Have you got anything to tell us this morning? How did things go yesterday, Doreen? Greetings. I'm all over the place. I'm not going through these systematically. There could be repetition here this morning. Paul Richards, greetings from Harrogate, 7 degrees centigrade. We do like our Yorkshire weather report. Bon dia todos de Nottingham as well, from Michelle Castro Vieira. From Deborah, hi everyone, kisses and hugs. And back to Yorkshire for a moment. It's cloudy as well as being a mere 7 degrees, which is quite warm for Yorkshire. They'll be stripped down to probably just their shirts off and barbecues out at 7 degrees. Cloudy on the countdown to Portugal. Paul's getting very excited. And it's morning, y'all, from ATL from Atlanta, Georgia. Hello from Victoria there. And a nice apostrophe. Thanks, Jim, for that. Every comment counts here. Even if you send in an apostrophe like Jim's done there. Very happy to read it out. Where are we? Will Thompson, turn my car into a mini camper, living free, being productive and creative, got my positive focus back. Great to hear that, Will. Short enough to fit snug in the back with my new home. But you found a new doggy friend, Shay, a Portuguese Pondengo. I'm not sure what that is. Are those the dogs that the Obamas had? So yes, sounds like van life or car life for you there, Will, and you're doing well. Glad to hear it, mate. The entire government is a state of calamity. He's off again this morning. Then again, we're used to it. We can rely on Joel for searing political analysis. The Portuguese that he is talking about his own government are giving us a little bit of insight into the everyday annoyance of a Portuguese fellow there up in the north of Portugal. Milda, bon dia alegria. Sorry, I'm giggling. Excuse me, one moment. Stop it, Joel. Bon dia, Carl Munson from Catherine Nichols. Sunny and 6 above. Near, what's that? Seinäjoki, Finland. I wonder if I did that okay. Seinäjoki from Finland. Bon dia bon dia from you and to you, Susan. Bon dia from Caldas de Reina. Very good choice of area, Annabella. This is great. So I don't know. We may have heard from you before, but not very often. But Annabella, Sutil Lad, Portugal. I wonder what that means. But yes, an excellent part of Portugal, Caldas de Reina over there, Silver Coast wise. And I'm glad you've all responded to saying hello this morning. Thank you for that. I'll give you a little prompt and you're all saying hello. It's lovely to find out who's listening rather than feeling like I'm sat here on my own. Always listening to your deep, soothing tones. Well, thank you. that was my cat, Loop or Loopy. Or Lupe, if a little bit of a French nuance on there, en français. So is it Loop, OOP, how we would pronounce that, Jim? But it's always nice to get a message from a cat as well. And that's very restrained for a cat. Normally treading, marching across the keyboard, aren't they? But a nice little, I don't know what a delicate cat that your cat sounds like, with one little apostrophe there from Loop this morning. Cheers, Jim. Stephen Wells, morning. Ask anything with the doc. Hopefully this does not turn into an Expats Portugal version of embarrassing bodies. Well, if our calendar comes off, if our naked calendar for charity comes off, it could well do, couldn't it? But not quite in the way you're suggesting there, Stephen. I chanced upon Naked Attraction last night on the telly. Who watches that? Who watches that apart from me and thinks, I can't stop watching it? And you're watching it and you're like, oh, really? Hey, I'm going to turn this off, but maybe just 2 minutes more. Yes, embarrassing bodies, Naked Attraction. I mean, you know, we are fascinated, aren't we, with those things? Or should I just own that and say I am? My application is now at the Portuguese Embassy. Fingers crossed. Fantastic, Doreen. Excellent. Denise tuned in from New Zealand. Hello all, and hello all right back at you there in New Zealand. Victoria, how are you? How are you and Vinny, Denise? We'll be getting jab number 2 this morning. Woohoo, Moderna. just so everyone's clear about that. So, yeah, what do you say to someone who's going to get their jab? Congratulations, good luck. Have a nice cup of tea and a biscuit afterwards. Oh, no, that's giving blood, isn't it? And talking of giving blood, it's Andy the Doc Thomson. It's called. Oh, he's on the move.
Yeah.
Do you want to be on screen at the moment, Doc, or do you?
Yeah, it's all right. I can talk. It's it's totally hands-free. So
it's totally hands-free. Okay, excellent. Well, yes, they're called phlebotomists, aren't they? The vampires of the health service.
Oh yeah, indeed. Yes, they are.
Why is it called phlebotomy?
Well, it's from the Greek, phlebos, which is vein, and otos, which is hole. So they make a hole in the vein.
Quite literally. Okay, that's, you see, we learn stuff here on the Ask Anything About Portugal, Ask Anything About Medicine, probably ask anything really, because the doc is such a smart fella. So yes, Ask Anything About Portugal, hashtag AAAP. I'm concerned that you're on the move there, Doc. Not that it's not safe and everything. You are hands-free, as you say, but I can't take me. I'm talking about Naked Attraction and embarrassing bodies. I'm sure people are just watching, going, "Oh my God, he's driving."
It's fine.
Okay. Right.
I mean, it's really quiet, back roads, and I'll pull up in a minute in a nice forested area so that I can enjoy nature while talking to you lot. But I'm fine driving and doing it as well.
All right. Well, so we'll let you just listen in for a bit, and then we'll talk to you a bit more directly when you've parked up. Don't park near any of don't park near any of those ladies with the white chairs. Okay. Be careful, because we'll have a lot of the white plastic chair is a code of all of its own here in Portugal. Some will know what I'm talking about, others won't. Bon dia, late but here, Carolyn. So we've got extra entertainment on the screen at the moment. I'm going to be going through the comments whilst you can watch a man driving as well. Maybe get a little bit of a view of Portugal through his rear view mirror. How good is that? So it's Loop. Yes, Loop is the cat. And it's good luck, is what you say, from Louise. Good luck, exciting. Oh, no, that's not about the vaccination. That's about the, it might be. Oh, no, because that was Victoria. I'm getting confused here now. Good luck with the application, with the visa application, of course. Leslie, selling off everything from my 2-bed apartment. Where do I start? Do people not buy used items here, going minimalistic? Well, maybe we can have a bit of an auction this morning, Leslie. What have we got? Stick a few things. I mean, we've got people in the Algarve, so feel free to put in whatever it is you've got in there. Spiralizer, sausage maker attachment, like we were talking about yesterday. Whatever you're selling, let us know. Just saw a post on Facebook, says Gary, from a guy who had a heart attack and was taken to Coimbra Hospital. Oh, I'm going to hide that comment because I asked him if I could share that, Gary, and we will come back to that. That's a really good shout. Joel, Naked Attraction. Will I watch it? But I don't find it all that exciting. Well, what do you want them to do, Joel, to make it more exciting? I don't answer that. Paul from Circus School. I want to know, Carl, or should I say DJ Ping Pong? Do you still have your hats from your music career? No, I don't. Lad, It's a real estate agency. Oh, okay. I thought that was Paul talking to me from Yorkshire saying, lad, it's a real estate agency. But that's Annabella saying, lad or IAD possibly. It's a real estate agency. And I was curious about you. Hello to everybody. I'm on the Silver Coast in Caldas. Today is a cloudy day here, but with a good temperature. Okay, so Annabella, put a link to the best and finest property you've got in on the Silver Coast at the moment. Let us drool over, not literally, but let us metaphorically drool over one of the most beautiful properties you have, because there are some beauts on the Silver Coast there. So feel free, put one link in the comments and let's have a look at that. Open it in another tab, folks. Don't leave me. Paul Richards in the UK to go abroad, 2 vax plus test, go out, then test, come back, plus 2 more later dates. The test will be in the region of £400 per person, plus cost of holiday. Expensive. Yeah, because your flights were 500 quid, weren't they? You could get to, I don't know, there's probably somewhere really exotic you could go to that's not going to ask for any tests or vaccinations, that needs the money. Somewhere really exotic, and you could come back with change compared to the old hop across to Portugal. That's unbelievable, isn't it? There's got to be a better solution than that. Doc is shaking his head. He'll have something to say about that in a minute. Oh, hold on. I'll unmute you. Go on, say again.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. A friend of mine has got tickets for June from Luton to Lisbon for a total of about £90-100 with EasyJet.
Yeah, I heard this yesterday morning from one of our correspondents. Possibly Louise was saying that EasyJet do have some fairly low ticket prices at the moment, so worth looking there. Paul might like to fly Yorkshire Airlines or something like that, or first class or something along those lines. That was Kim. You're right. It's a small world, but we'll come back to Kim's story because I've got the screenshots. And it's quite remarkable what happened with Kim, and I'll talk about it with the doc when he's parked up, because he's the man who knows about medical matters, and it's a really wonderful accolade, and a great compliment and insight into how the Portuguese system works, the health system works, and how what good value it is. One draw at a time is how to get rid of all your stuff. Denise is saying to Leslie, but yeah, Leslie, seriously, tell us what you got. Hola, bon dia, Paul R. £400. Better to stay longer in Portugal to spread better to move to Portugal, I would say. Here we go. Beds, sofa, rice maker. Oh, I'm interested in the rice maker, but it's how to get it from the Algarve up country. Large screen TV, infarct, everything. Now, interestingly, infarct is a medical term, I think, but I think she's saying infarct. Infarct is a medical thing, isn't it, Doc?
Yeah, myocardial infarction is the posh name for a heart attack. Infarct means dead. Infarction is death of tissue.
Is it infarction? Okay, see if you can weave that into a conversation today, everybody, in a different context, obviously, to the one Doc's talking about there. Declutter regularly is the advice coming in from Denise. Yes. For Carl, you just mentioned Caldas and pronounced it the same as me, but I was saying it to a Portuguese person. I needed to repeat it 3 times. Are we pronouncing it right? I think Caldas Rania, possibly with the H on the end there. If you're British, it will be Caldas maybe. But I think Caldas might be a little bit more authentic. Doc Leria, he's in that sort of area. He'll know. With the exception to iPhone and Samsung, what types of phones does everyone prefer that have dual SIM use in USA and Portugal? That's Tiffany, who also said good morning from Texas. Great question. First of the consumer questions this morning from Tiffany. So if you're using a dual SIM phone, what have you got apart from iPhone or Samsung? Is it the One Plus? I think is a pretty good make to consider. It's a Chinese phone, not very well known, but yes, and because there are all sorts of brands, aren't there, that aren't very well known. One Plus is one of them, and I think a lot of them are the same phone but badged up with different branding. Susan says Finnair will start accepting travellers with vaccination certificates effective May the 11th. Also, J sounds like a Y in Finland, so Seinäjoki. Seinäjoki. There you go. We got there in the end. Thank you very much, Susan, for that help. Thank you for asking, Annabella. There are some of the properties to sell Look at this. I asked you for one, you cheeky Annabella there. But come on, just show us a really one of your best. That sounds like your collection there. Show us your best, Annabella. I guess maybe that's a bit difficult to do because you'll upset some of the other clients possibly. So maybe I shouldn't have asked you to do that. The EU has reportedly cleared vaccinated Americans to visit Portugal this summer, but Sputnik is not acceptable. Andy, here we go. Andy, do you know whether can one get the Moderna Pfizer as a booster after Sputnik? Can you have an intercontinental cocktail of vaccine?
I'm not sure that the evidence is there yet. My gut reaction is that it should be effective, but I don't think, and to be honest, I haven't looked at it in the last 3 or 4 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks ago, there were trials being conducted to look at the interoperability of vaccines.
Well said. Okay. Okay, so I think the jury's out, right? You should perhaps wait and see what other evidence or research comes forward on that one. Would that be the best place to leave it right now, Doc?
Yeah. If I remember, I shall try and do a bit of research on that for the next appearance.
Okay, excellent, good stuff, and definitely OnePlus, says Michelle. Amazing phones at good prices. Been my brand of choice for years now. They're pretty stylish too. I was quite snobby. I was an Apple sort of person, and that's a cult, isn't it? Really. So it's quite hard to break the habit. Be shunned by fellow Apple users thereafter. But a friend of mine, Mike, uses the OnePlus. It's a good-looking phone, dual SIM, and a lot better value because you don't have all that nonsense going on of paying the extra premiums for belonging to a cult. Not literally everybody, obviously. Let's have a look. Paul, when I fly, I like to sit where I can see the windscreen wiper blades. Okay, so he's in a premium seat along with the uniform lads and lasses there. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit more expensive for Paul. For Doc, I'm currently stopping at each toll and paying manually. Any advice on best way to do tolls automated?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is because, though, the first thing to say about that is if you're in a right-hand drive, that's going to be a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? You've got to get out, put the money in the machine, and then run back really quickly and hope to get through. That notwithstanding, what's your advice on the tolls? Because you're an advanced toll user, Andy.
Absolutely. So I have gone with a company called Bip and Go, or also abbreviated to BIPNGO. They tend to really only service the Northern European market, for all the snowbirds who like to run down to the south of Europe in the summer. So they want to ship it to an address virtually north of Paris, basically. But as long as you've got a postal address that you can use, they're happy to accept my direct debit from my Portuguese bank. So it's very good. There's a very low premium for using it. It covers the toll systems in France, Spain, Italy, and Portugal.
Excellent advice. Bip and Go. I found it and I've put the link in there. So that might work for you, Louis. Obviously, a bit inconvenient for you nipping in and out of the car and running round to the to put the money in, Doc. So you had to come up with
horrendous. It would take me about 4 minutes each time to walk around. So yeah.
It's an elegant solution. In
fact, what I used to do was just jump through the green lane and then pay the extra online.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Until I got my Bip and Go, yeah.
Be careful just going through the green lane if you haven't got any devices at all. We did that, and I think we had to pay €80 to be freed from them. There's a portal online for each of the operators, and if you get there quick enough, it doesn't cost. It doesn't cost that much. Well, it doesn't cost €80. It probably costs an extra €10 or something. So I did make a habit of it, but it wasn't excruciating. That's when it just helps when you're in the know. I mean, the mistake we made is we panicked. I mean, on some of those toll roads, you're suddenly, I mean, you're on a road, not much happening, not many other people about. And then there's
Yeah.
the choice of 3 or 4 orifices to drive through. You're going, you're moving. You can't just stop in the middle of the road and think about it. You've got to pick one. And then if you open up the conversation to your co-pilot, which obviously, I think couples will attest to how often, if you ask your co-pilot spouse what to do, it does bring in a whole other range of options and disagreements, possibly as well. Go that one. No, don't go that one. I meant that one over there. We went through the Via Verde, and then in our honesty at the other end, asking what to do at the barrier. We should have just driven through and done what Doc said. But stopping at the barrier, we didn't get a ticket. Obviously, in broken English, had to get an operative talking to us down the line in English. Sorry, we drove through. What do we owe you? Thinking we could just pay the normal amount. I think 80 or 90 euros, not for very far. In so many of these situations, it doesn't pay, to be honest, does it? You get penalized. I'm not saying you should be dishonest, but I just think, when people are coughing up or owning up to doing something wrong, to hit them so hard does seem a little bit unfair, really. Okay, so no, I do it all from the driving seat. I have long arms. So there's the other option, is to get some arm extensions, possibly. I mean, you feel for the people behind you while you're using one of those litter grabbers to put your money in through the other wind. What on earth are they doing? But or get a passenger, pick up a hitchhiker, they'll do it for you. Okay, going back in the where there is some talk of Sputnik here, which is always great because you get to say Sputnik for one thing. OnePlus definitely is getting some love as well this morning. We've done automated tolls, a device that covers all of Europe. There we go, the Blip and Go. I echo the wonderful Louise, says Pete. Good morning, Pete. Are you encouraging Primora enunciations? Is that where people Pimor enunciations? I think I've got that right, or maybe I've mispronounced Pimor enunciation as well, adding a further complexity there. What should I be saying there, Addy?
No, I think you're right. I'm just shaking my head at the word.
Yeah, and it sounds to me that that's what happens when you say foreign words without changing your accent in any way at all. And then there's probably ultra Pimor enunciation. And moron is in that word, interestingly. But Pimor enunciation, hyper Pimor enunciation, is when you shout whilst doing it as well. I sometimes see people do. You shouldn't do that, folks.
Obviously, the only reason they don't understand you is because they're deaf.
Yes, that's right. So, Cal dash the radar. Sputnik makes you launch into space. Hello. I'm not deaf. I just don't understand your terrible accent. That's not true, Joel. I think you're fine. Sputnik is highly effective, says Caroline. The issue is whether the EU will ever clear Sputnik vaccinated tourists in Portugal. Yes. Yeah. Not a time for political point scoring, is it? Come on. Doc's got a nice stable connection there. What network? I said, yes, we've tested your connection, Doc. Literally road tested your connection. What you got?
Yeah, Vodafone.
Voda all the way for the Doc.
Yeah.
Okay. How have you found the rest of their customer service?
Patchy. I mean, they're really good in the shop. And being in a wheelchair, I get ushered to the front of the queue, of course. So that always helps. But yeah, their customer service in the shop's been brilliant. I haven't bothered trying on the phone because my Portuguese isn't good enough, and the chance of getting an English speaker are probably about 15%. So
yeah, although I think I've got contacts now after some traumatic incidents with both Vodafone and Mayo. I do have the email addresses of English speakers who've been very, very helpful to me. I don't think it was the mention of the complaints book. I'm not that sort of person. Okay, this may be an odd question. There are no odd questions here, although this does look like an odd question. I am looking for an alpaca breeder in central Portugal. Any ideas where to look? Obviously,
but the hairdressers.
What? Oh, I've forgotten. Alpacas and the other ones. What are the ones that they get confused with?
Llamas.
Llamas, of course. But alpaca, I know an alpaca breeder. It's not an odd question at all. But my wonderful friend Lisa up in Aveiro, Montefrio alpacas. Look that up. Monte Frio, as in cold mountain. Montefrio alpacas. You're looking for Lisa. She breeds alpacas and proudly shares them with people. I mean, you know, not. You have to go to her place and have an alpaca experience, and very beautiful it is too. We went to her former residence where she had them. It was great fun. I think I did a little podcast on it, and she's moved to a beautiful place, which I think is also a bit of an Airbnb now, on the outskirts of Aveiro. You'll have a lovely time there. So easy question there. But why do you want an alpaca breeder? Is it for the ivermectin, maybe? Milda, I use OnePlus. No complaints so far. So OnePlus really is a good alternative. Have you got any others, Doc? Which handset are you using there?
So I've got a G10. I've been unashamedly Android since I fell out of love with Apple a long time ago. But I do prefer Samsung. I'm not a snob. I think they're brilliant technology, but I have had a couple of Chinese handsets as second phones when I've needed them, and I've also used a SIM converter which sits outside the phone but inside the case, and there's a very thin silicon embedded set of wires that slide into the SIM tray, and it closes. I mean, it's really thin, and that'll take up to 4 SIMs, and you can cycle through them. It will even cycle through them every 15 minutes or a set number of minutes, so that it'll keep up to date with your missed calls, but obviously it can only take incoming calls on one at a time. But yeah, it was very, very helpful.
I had no idea such a thing existed. But then again, with technology, most things exist, don't they? If you ever look through Amazon.
The other thing is you can buy a box to plug into your Wi-Fi at home. You put all your SIM cards in the box, and you only have one SIM card on your phone, and it forwards everything through voice over IP. It's fantastic gadget. I haven't got one, but very clever.
Get out of here! This is, I mean, in case you just joined us, it's Ask Anything About Portugal Wednesday. Doc joins us once a month, and is it once or twice?
Twice a month.
Twice a month, I should say. And years of experience as a GP back in the UK. But listen to him as well. All his technological advice, his advice about Portugal. He's a real asset to the community here. Thank you, Andy, for being here.
Thank you, Carl.
Alcatel, also a good, inexpensive phone brand available in Portugal. Yeah, the Vodafone shops have Alcatel for sure, and their tablets too. Bought one for the kids, which hasn't been broken yet. What things are required for D7 retiring visa for Portugal from Pakistan? From Harold. Good morning to you, Harold. I mean, there's a step process for D7, which will involve having a NIF number, a bank account, and proof of income. And then I imagine there's specific requirements from whichever country you're coming from. If you're coming from the US, for example, you have to have your criminal record and so on. I would suggest talking to Gilda, our preferred partner. She's, we're not experts on that, me and Andy. I take the liberty of saying that for you as well, Andy. Talk to Gilda. Book a call with Gilda at EI Migration, and I'll put our business directory address in where you can find a Hara later on. But those are the basics. You got to prove that you can look after yourself here as a retired person with passive income, and you got to do all the bureaucratic things, like opening up a bank account and having your fiscal number here. But those are just the basics. Speak to Gilda. It's difficult to choose just one, but this is a very unique and interesting project for those who appreciate to be surrounded by nature at the same time near the city. Oh, yes, so 4 bedrooms there, Caldas de Rainha. Anyone else having a look at that, let us know what you think. Annabella, thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. Louise, I think we've done, yes, the long arm comment, the long arm of Louise there. Let's rewind back. Lots of questions coming in. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate that. So that was a link for that device, bipandgo.com. I haven't asked you how you were. You surprised me with the driving thing, Andy. How are you doing? And how are you looking at the current situation in Portugal?
I'm doing fine. Yeah, I was trying to see what the president said yesterday, but up until the time I decided to go to bed, don't think anything had been written up on it. So I'm not 100% what happened, whether the state of emergency is being renewed again, or whether he's decided to not do that.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because it's almost as though we had a production meeting to talk about this. And I actually did have the news article, but I've gone to that rather grisly murder case from the Algarve. I don't want to talk about that this morning. You can look at that yourself. But I will call up for you what the Portugal president has said, the Portuguese president. There he is. Look, I'll just do this quickly so you know. I can bring you up to date,
Yeah,
Doc.
I
Portugal
think so.
says
Yeah.
173 days under state of emergency. Makes you wonder as well, doesn't it? You know, after about 21 days of state of emergency, that is the new normal, isn't it? But anyway, Marcelo confirmed this evening that Portugal is saying goodbye, yay, to the state of emergency that has been in force twice during the pandemic, but most recently for 173 straight days since last November, thanks to Natasha Don, yesterday's Portugal resident here. What will follow, he hasn't said. Will he decree, for example, a state of calamity? Sorry, I misunderstood. I thought we were downscaling to a state of calamity, as he did in 2020 when the country exited its first state of emergency. We will have to wait for later this week, when the government itself will be deciding the next stage of deconfinement, due to begin on Monday, May the 3rd. So next Monday, a milestone in Portuguese deconfinement history, but they will be chatting, conferring and deciding this week to see what happens. As things stand now, the current state of emergency ends at midnight on Friday, April the 30th. So there you go. Couple of days and then we'll be out of the state of emergency for sure. It's clear from the conclusions coming out of the meeting of specialists at Infomed today, this was yesterday's meeting, that the country as a whole is doing well, but there are still a number of trouble spots. Boroughs where incidence is not conforming to the limits, i.e. 120 cases per 100,000. Thus, there will be a lot of decisions still to come. How on earth are they going to manage that mess, do you think, Doc?
I don't know. It's very difficult. So my partner's daughter, Leona's daughter, goes to school in Marinha Grande, and Marinha Grande is one of those few boroughs, whatever they're called, municipalities that have a higher rate. So I suspect there might be restrictions for travelling into or out of those areas. And certainly last November, before they went on to online schooling, we were all issued with signed letters to prove that that she went to school there, so that we could actually travel across the border. The other thing, of course, is that there are a number of very nice beaches in the Marinha Grande Council, and I suspect there will be quite a lot of people wanting to go there. So I do think it's going to be difficult. I'm hoping that that these hotspots will fizzle out and won't actually be a source for future more widespread waves. And I don't know. I suspect and hope the former, but there's always a risk of the latter.
Indeed, and of course, what it sounds like could happen then, from what you say there, is that we're coming out of a state of emergency and we're going into deconfinement, but actually moving about could become more difficult than it's ever been, because you might be stopped moving in and out of boroughs in a way that we haven't. Well, I mean, there have been checks and you know, police stops, but it could lead to much more of that if they're just trying to confine it down and quarantine it down to local areas.
And if you're planning a cross-country trip, you'll have to know where the borders are, where the boundaries are.
You'll soon find out, I suspect, if you don't plan it in advance. Okay, going back to tech for a minute, seems to be more expensive in Portugal as a whole. I think that's a fair comment. I do. You know, there are exceptions and there are sales, but generally speaking, the top level recommended retail prices, I think, are more expensive than UK and US for that comparison. Would you agree, Andy?
Yeah, I'm afraid to say, although I hate Jeff Bezos with a passion, I do succumb to using Amazon in order to order things from Holland and Germany,
Yeah,
where prices are better and the VAT is lower. For example, I needed. I mean, this wasn't available in Portugal. I needed some tires for my Segway-based wheelchair. I had an option of buying Segway originals from America, which are pretty crap anyway, or some the only alternative, which happened to be produced in Germany. €15 for the cost of the shipping, and they left Germany on Friday and arrived yesterday morning by DHL. This is
get on.
2 tires, 2 inner tubes, a reasonably big box, probably weighed a kilogram. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So why do you hate Jeff Bezos then?
Because he treats his workers like worker bees or ants or whatever, expendable.
Yeah. And he turns us all into little capitalists, doesn't he? Looking for a bargain, because you've described that.
Yeah. Listen, we all have to survive and work in the system we're in, even if we're working to undermine it.
Yay! We're some way into our conversation this morning, Andy. Before input of that kind, very restrained. Wise Andy. I don't think Nika Blake that's necessarily addressing Andy's views of Jeff Bezos. I think that's for an earlier comment, a much earlier comment, or many of them indeed. But we might go with that. Hashtag Wise Andy, as well as hashtag AAAP. Did exactly the same on my first visit via Verde journey out. You don't do that twice, interestingly, do you? With your massive penalty at the other end. Question for Doc. Can he recommend a company for private health wise? For private health insurance and costs. Health insurance. What's your view on that?
Well, I suspect it's probably sensible to have private health insurance. I really rebel against it, being from a committed NHS GP and a career almost solely in the NHS or companies contracted to it, but. I haven't is the short answer. We belong to the ACP, the Automobile Club of Portugal, and they have special offers. In fact, they give you a very basic insurance with the subscription. So I'm afraid I probably wouldn't be the one to ask, and I probably wouldn't shop around. I just because everything is so cheap here anyway. Compared to health insurance in the UK, or I suspect the States, it's shopping around is a optional luxury, I suspect.
For Americans cannot believe how good private medical insurance. I mean, they can't believe that you're going to get seen in a public hospital for the first thing, and then when they find out how much private insurance is, they really splash out. Yeah, give me everything, and that's still only €50 a month or whatever. On the screen there, you will see our business directory, including our preferred partner there, Winsurance, who take a very tailored personal approach. So get in touch with them for a quote, Paul, and also ACP are in there as our EI migration in there, and I've put that up on the in the comments as well. The link to that, and of course you get further discounts by being a premium member of Expats Portugal as well. Okay, back to your wonderful comments, and thank you for. Here's a good one. We'll come back to that. 4 SIMs. Holy moly. It's like a drug dealer, isn't it? Anyway.
I at one point I had I had an English SIM, a Portuguese SIM, a Philippine SIM, and a Panamanian SIM.
Okay, we won't go into that right now, but it's one of those things that's probably best just left hanging there. It's like, so everyone can think, why? Philippines, Panama, interesting. Okay. Bon dia, Andy and Carl from Elisa this morning. Good morning to you, Elisa. Enjoying your reminiscences of Portugal with you over there in Birmingham. of course, in the UK, as we know now. It was like a scene out of Little Britain. Say it again. Say it again. Kaldashteranya. Your pronunciation about Kaldashteranya is quite perfect. Thank you. So I think you're looking at Kaldash Deranya with a little bit of an H in there. Bon dia from Rita Adonis. Thank you, Annabella, for that. I get so much stick for my pronunciation that when somebody says something nice, it goes straight to my heart. Rita Adonis, bon dia to you. Let T speak, loves your videos, Louise. Yes, there's a bit of a mutual appreciation for the YouTubers there. Llama. Oh, that's going back a bit. Yeah, llamas and alpacas. Special offer on a 6-packer of alpacas, is that? Dad joke of the day, thanks to Gary Oster. I prefer Chinese phones that they don't spy on us. All of them do, including Crapple. Well, I've not heard of Apple being referred to as Crapple, but that's funny, Joel. All phones are, as you say, are spying devices potentially, aren't they? I mean, if you really don't want to be observed, monitored, etc., surveilled, you probably shouldn't have a smartphone, really, or even any kind of phone. Wait, that device sounds awesome, Andy. Andy explains it so casually. Which one? I think probably the 4SIM thing, as well as the voice over internet protocol other SIM thing for your Wi-Fi. We are going to keep some alpacas when we move. I needed to find out where to buy them from. Lisa is your woman for that, for sure. I'll put you in touch. PM me, Carl@expatsportugal.com. Any advanced tennis players here? Actually, yes, tennis and golf. I'll be looking to play when I get there, hopefully in June. Thanks to fantastic help from my real estate agent friend Petra, whom you know. Ah, yes, I do know Petra. Petra's great. She's part of our Ask Our Expats team, of course. I'll be in Cascais. I don't think you'll struggle to get a tennis game in Cascais. Many an expat there. You'll be an international community playing tennis there. But if anyone knows specifically or plays specifically in Cascais, give Dorian a shout, please. Just tuned in, says Mark. I had a quad SIM phone in China many years ago, 2007, if I remember correctly. It was a bit glitchy then, but they are used by a lot of people in business over there. So yes, what you say is true. 4 SIMs in a state of emergency is being lifted, but we still need to keep health and safety, social distancing nonetheless. Here we go back again into the pit. He's such a being of light, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it's definitely half empty this morning, Joe.
Yeah, so what do you think is going to happen then? Hand washing, social distancing, that's all going to be recommended, isn't it? Even if May the 3rd brings deconfinement plus, the very best in deconfinement, there's still going to be an emphasis, isn't there, on a lot of the things we've become used to, I suspect.
Well, I think a lot of it's become habit, and so it'll take a while to lose those habits, although we will lose those habits eventually through laziness. I suspect by the time we start losing those habits to any great degree, the vaccination rate will be sufficient to prevent us going back into the pit the way Joel describes it. That's my optimistic outlook. I suspect being even-handed, I still think that's the most likely scenario.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, another one for you. Bon dia. When one goes over on the D7 visa, is it easy to register with a GP, as the case is in the UK, or do you need to have all visits through private medical insurance?
Okay, so every person, every resident of Portugal is entitled to health service healthcare. Is it easy to register with a GP? Not necessarily. So in Coimbra, it was a 30-minute one visit, believe it or not, operation. Admittedly with my landlord coming with me to help. But when I transferred down here, so bearing in mind I had a SNS number already, we tried to register once we got our Freguesa declaration and our council updated certificate. At that point, obviously an EU resident in Portugal. we went along to the local health centre. We're told to fill in the application form and send it on online with all the paperwork. So we did that. 3 months later, we finally got told that we were registered at the health centre, but we didn't have a GP yet because they're short of GPs. When Leona, I've now managed to, when I went to get a prescription in January after being registered, they wanted to see my EHIC, my European Health Insurance card, which of course had just expired. And in any case, they shouldn't have needed to see it because I'm legally resident in Portugal. So anyway, I got clever and went to the local social security office and got a Portuguese EHIC, and then used a Portuguese EHIC to prove my eligibility to get GP services in Portugal, even though an EHIC is not supposed to have any legal standing within the borders of the country of issue, because it should only be used when you go abroad, of course.
Yeah.
As far as Leona's concerned, we've had to escalate her case because they said she had to register an S1, but she's in receipt of a private pension, not a state pension, so she can't get an S1. In any event, she's legally permanent, well, not permanently, but she's legally resident here and not working, and therefore should be getting healthcare from the Portuguese government. We've had to escalate that case through the consulate and the FCDO, and we're waiting for FCDO, FCOD, whatever it is. We're waiting for that to get sorted. Also, we've got a second case with the FCDO because the local Freguesa refused to register me to vote. So, yeah, nothing's easy. It's all bureaucracy. You are entitled to healthcare. It won't be as easy as it should be.
There you go, Iris. I hope you kept up with that. So yeah, in theory, you are as a resident entitled to healthcare. That's how we roll in Europe. That's how we like to think of it, isn't it? And you won't be turned away at a hospital. You know, you won't have to have your, as I've said before, your credit cards sellotaped to your forehead. You will get seen, and there is of course the personal nuance of how you can get caught up in the system. But you know, there's bureaucracy is one thing, and the pleasantness of people is another in Portugal. So you will get seen, you will get after that. You know, those are two distinct things. It's a beast, isn't it? Two-headed beast. You know, the beautiful or Beauty and the Beast, the beauty of kindness of this country, and then the beastliness of its bureaucratic system, which sometimes people get caught up in that, like Velcro. So, Alyssa, I think the government is looking, this is your view, is looking and preparing to reopen the country and not extending the state of emergency. Absolutely. Question for the doc. How long will it take after your second COVID shot? Will one feel less apprehensive? Us, people are different, just ballpark. Do you understand that?
So IUS, I think, is understand. Feeling less apprehensive. Well, when should you feel less apprehensive is probably about 3 weeks after the second shot. So both shots take about 3 weeks to have their effect on, or peak effect on, the immune system. So yeah, you will have maximum protection after about 3 weeks after the second shot.
Okay, so the apprehensive is going out and engaging in society and to enjoy the full effect. Okay, there you go, Letty. Is it legal to have medications refilled in the States and then mailed to my new home in Portugal? That's an interesting question for customs, probably as much as us two.
So it'll be legal. You will. I don't know if you get charged customs. I certainly have brought 3 or 4 months in at a time when I've travelled, and I've had friends bring refills in as well when I've had issues accessing, which is only been 2 or 3 times. I brought spares over when I've gone back to the UK just to make sure I don't run out. But I mean, they're not overly expensive over here. They're certainly cheaper than the States. And then, of course, they're massively cheaper once you've got a prescription. But the answer is, yes, it's legal, and you may well have to pay tax. I don't know.
Yeah, it would appear. I think the best thing to do is consider getting your prescription here, Ron, because you'll be saving yourself a lot of fuss and money. I think there. Some people tune in on your appearances for the political insight. Here's one of them. Penny, rock on, Doc. Power to the people. What's happened? Does anyone know what's happened to Hank? Hank was one of your biggest fans. Are you in touch with him privately?
I was. I haven't spoken to him recently. I ought to drop him an email. Interesting guy, Hank. Very, very bright computer programming professor, I believe, of computer programming. But and great politically. But I haven't spoken to him for a while.
We need to find out where Hank is. Yeah, we're missing him. We're missing you, Hank. If you see this on replay, I think says let T speak to Ron. They will be at risk of being stopped in customs by being shipped. There's a good chance of that. And yeah, so the easiest thing is to get your supply here if at all possible. It might be, of course, that you have a very rare thing that needs to come from the States there, Ron. Good morning. Hello, Maria, another member of our Ask Our Expats team. Good morning. The doc that I've been assigned has been very different manner than I had become used to coming from the USA. And I find it quite brusque. Nice word, but not a nice experience there. Very little warmth. That extends to most health professionals that I have had to see. Is that a shared experience? Bedside manner, Doc. You get trained in that, don't you? I believe in the UK system. What would you say about that?
Well, yeah, you do get trained in bedside manner, and I think you know, those who don't manage to develop it become anaesthetists, and those who do become psychiatrists or GPs. But I think, or anaesthetists or pathologists. But I don't know. I think some of it personally, I've experienced that. Although I have also experienced warmth and caring, and brusqueness sometimes hides uncertainty with language or overwork or concern about getting too close. There are lots of reasons why healthcare professionals might appear to be cool and standoffish, and certainly I and my colleagues have at times been cautioned about being too warm and too friendly. It's not really very sad the way that healthcare professionals' motives are impugned when they become overly personal, overly caring. It's very bad.
If they become a human in any way.
Yeah.
Who's cautioning you? Who does that?
Oh, well, fellow professionals, the GMC.
Really? Okay. I'm sure you're glad to be out from that point of view. I mean, what I would say about that, what I would say about that, Doc, is Portugal is a very like you're coming from UK, and clearly it's a very class-based society. It's all about class in the UK, and whatever people say, that's what tends to define the movements of society, or not, as the case may be. And what I observe about Portugal is that there's a very high price or value put on being a professional person, and I think it's probably a little bit to do with that. So it's not just doctors. If you are a teacher or a doctor, a professor, academic, you do have a different perception, a perceived standing in Portuguese society. And I think this has come from the value of education and how people, you know, after the revolution, I think there was a massive emphasis put on education and, you know, the educated middle classes and so on. And people who didn't have a very good education before suddenly getting access to education. It became a very prized thing, and therefore a little bit of a status thing as well, I think, to make your way in the world in terms of your education. So I think it's a little bit of that the professionals see themselves as a bit different and a bit special, and that you might be experiencing some of that. I think that's what I'm feeling between the lines of the society as you understand it as somebody, as an immigrant coming into it. More speculation about your sim collection there. We're going to just leave that there. For Sims Thompson. Can you buy an annual prescription certificate as you can in the UK if you have quite a few regular meds, says Sarah? No.
No. There are a lot of intricacies of the UK system that aren't mirrored over here, but then there are some good things here which you don't get in the UK. It's swings and roundabouts, but no, you can't do that.
Like a Toshtamishta, for example, or
Indeed.
Has anyone bought an air heat exchanger or PVs, solar PVs, I'm guessing, in Germany and had them shipped to Portugal? Ask Kate. Good morning to you, Kate. The green energy tech available in Germany looks better and cheaper. I haven't done that. I don't suppose Doc has. You haven't got any PVs on your apartment balcony, have you?
No, nothing at the moment.
Talk to our man Umberto about that, Kate. We have a very capable fellow in our Ask Our Expats team, often on our webinars. Umberto, he's invested. Well, he's half German, half Portuguese, and he invested a lot into renewables at his place. Doc is like an onion. The more you find out, the more you want to peel back the layers. That's quite a good review of you. I didn't read it before I shared it. I need to be more careful, but I think we're going to.
Okay. I'll take that. I like that.
just like the world that Marvin and Tammy spoke about being a great big onion, so is the Doc. Annabella saying the best tennis school is, as it turns out, in Caldas, and you have a very good golf course as well. I was thinking I'm moving to the Caldas area, Doc. I was looking at my golf clubs, my family heirloom golf clubs. They're not made of wood. They're not hickory, but they are old. And I was thinking, should I keep them or not? So I think I might. Obidosh. Go see the pink flamingos, play around the golf by the ocean with amazing views. Sounds great, Annabella. So there you go, Doreen. Think about the probably an hour trip north from Cascais to play the tennis players of Caldas as well. Gary, I saw a bit of a sad post on Facebook from someone who said even after this pandemic ends, they were going to continue to use face masks and disinfectant and social distancing, etc., to stop them getting colds and flu in the future. Is this the future? Hopefully not. Where's the balance in that, Doc?
I understand that's going to happen. I think if you remember when the Chinese had that, what was it? Well, it was after SARS, wasn't it? A lot of Chinese took to wearing face masks on a very extended basis. And when we started to get quite an influx of Chinese into Birmingham, they were all wearing face masks when they first arrived, and took a while for that to stop. So, yeah, I think there'll be a number of people who do continue to use face masks. I know people who used hand gel before this pandemic on a regular basis, and of course you could always buy them. So, but I'm hoping the face masks come off eventually.
Yep. Okay. Agree with you, Gary. That's changing the world of some people for good there, in a slightly awkward way. I would agree with you there, Gary. It's been 3 weeks after Pfizer, and I'm still a nervous Nelly. Is that a medical condition, being a nervous Nelly, Doc?
I won't. I'll reserve comment.
All right, on nervous Nellyism. I think I might be going through the same thing as the owner, as my doctor's computer system needs a NIST number, but I don't work here, so getting a social security number is going to be difficult. He's lost in a system. He's like in the worst movies you've seen about bureaucracy.
Well, that is exactly the same thing. You go to Social Security, and they will say you can't have a social security number, you have to register an S1. The only reason I've managed to get a social security number is because I get a Portuguese benefit for being disabled, a small amount per month. But anyone who isn't is going to have an issue until they draw their state pension. But Gary, does if Linda draws her state pension, which I suspect she might, then as a member of her household, I think you're entitled to a social security number. I may be wrong, but I think it's worth a trip to the Social Security office to find out.
There you go. A day trip, obviously. Plan wisely. for that, and
Sandwiches.
pack sandwiches and a flask. Good luck, sir. And that was the last we saw of him. What is the word for dead tissue? Was that infarct?
No, so there's not a single word. There's a word to describe. So there's necrotic tissue or infarcted tissue.
Infarcted. Okay. And more searing political insight is Starmer dead tissue.
I think dead tissue would be an improvement.
Oh dear, if you're watching, you have a right to reply, Sir Keir. Warmth and friendliness can promote healing, of course, says Jim. And this is why, I mean, part of going to see the doctor is to be heard and listened to and feel special, right?
Absolutely. I always made sure people enjoyed, maybe the wrong word, but many of them did, and made sure that visiting me was a positive experience as far as possible.
Yes, and on the other hand, doctors are not gods and patients are not saints, which I imagine is said in the health system of many countries. Yep. There's nuts and queer as folk, of course. And yes, we're dealing with the public, has its downsides as well as its upsides, as nice as you would be as a doctor, I'm sure. As prescriptions, are prescriptions free for the over 60s like in the UK? Asked Penny of Portugal.
I don't think so. I mean, my interest tends to extend only to those things that directly affect myself and Leona at the moment. But so I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay. But cheap as chips anyway, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's not a big issue. Pete Bleach, wow, Ronnie Barker is on here. I love the piss moron enunciation sketch. I didn't do it on purpose. Honestly, I just saw the word moron in there as well, interestingly. Unless you're setting me up there, Pete. On Thursday and Friday, Doc gets to be a pickled onion. Well, hey!
Yeah, absolutely.
Our bank manager says she welcomes the use of face masks due to the state of many of people's breath. Oh dear, and washing habits. So look on the bright side, Garbo. So yes, interesting. There's a bedside manner of bank managers as well to consider. Oh, and actually, if you're a client too, think about that, folks. And it's probably better to brush your teeth and wear a face mask. To be fair, isn't it? I'll keep it as was before this. Of the no face mask. Let my immune system do what it was intended to do.
Yeah,
Either it or not, says Joel. Making a stance there. OMG, Carl, you're moving to our neighborhood. How rude is that? I fear the prices in Caldash are going to fall. None taken, Kate. Some might say it's an improvement. The colour that me and my family will bring to the area. Let's see about that. Yes, the value of your investments can go up as well as down. I think with new variants still popping up, I too shall remain a masked nervous Nelly. There's quite a lot of nervous Nellyism, even with jabs. Okay. I don't know what to suggest with that. I mean, do you, Doc? I mean, I understand people are anxious, but what would you say to people who are really struggling like that?
Well, my general advice for anxiety is that worrying never helped at all.
Yeah.
Never. It doesn't change what's going to happen. It doesn't reduce your likelihood of contracting or of suffering whatever it is you're worrying about. And the only thing it does is paralyze you and stop you from thinking clearly and stop you from moving forward. And that in a nutshell, and obviously it went on for a little bit longer, is my advice to those who suffering anxiety or are of a nervous disposition.
Yeah.
See what it is. Understand what it is you're worrying about. Make the decisions you can make with the best knowledge and advice you can.
And turn off the telly. Turn off the telly, Nelly, is the bumper sticker, isn't it, for this one? There's one simple cure for the nervous Nelly: turn off the TV. Well said, Louise. And we're not making light of people's anxiety or difficulties, but I think you're right, Doc. You can get paralysis by analysis, can't you? And you're more thinking as well. I mean, just generally thinking has a downward spiral to it, doesn't it? It's important to be not ruminating too much on things and to get practical and to live, for heaven's sakes. That's the other part of it, isn't it? Live your life.
Yeah, I mean, if you started to analyze the risk of falling when you first started walking, you still wouldn't be walking by the age of 90.
That's a good insight, isn't it? And I mean, those little creatures, those little beings are an inspiration, aren't they? They are not doing a risk assessment, are they? Those little toddlers, they're getting up, they're trying, they're falling over, and on they go. And they've got the other, of course, with a toddler, you've got your family around you. That's the other thing. Isn't it? Get people around you who support you. Yeah. And maybe don't feed.
We are supposed to be adventurous but social animals.
Indeed. And we've probably overdone it there for Susan. Not anxious, just careful. Fair enough, Susan. But you make a good point, and it was useful to be able to talk about that. So thank you, Susan. Live in the moment and enjoy. Absolutely, Jacqueline. Good advice there. Yes, you only get one life, etc., etc. Carpe diem, seize it. Not free, says Gary to Penny. Penny, but cheap. That's talking about the medications, not himself.
Although it could apply.
We're going to use Algarve removals to move our stuff to Portugal. I wondered if we have to pay customs tax and VAT on the value of our belongings, or do we need to get a baggage certificate? They should be helping you with that. They've done that quite a few times, I suspect. I mean, you shouldn't really, should you? Unless it becomes obvious that you are bringing in loads of stuff that you're going to sell.
Yeah, don't bring 20 smart TVs. We limited ourselves to 3.
That does arouse suspicions. If there are 20 flat screen tellies in there and 16 iPhones, that is going to cause a problem. From what anecdotally what I've heard, if it looks like household stuff and it's not commercial, you're not going to be paying loads of tax and VAT on that. Although that might, I don't know what the situation is with that is. I mean, if you are a resident, you're not. But if you're bringing stuff into the country, there might be some customs to pay depending on your origins, right, Andy?
Yeah, I haven't. Again, it's not something I've gone into in depth, but we just brought a big trailer and stuffed it full of stuff, and they had a quick look in the back, and when they realized that it was difficult enough to repack it, they didn't bother unpacking it.
On you go. Safe onward journey. Fantastic. That's what you need. I'm relieved to say Kate was just joking. You and your family, and especially your wife. What? There's another veiled insult. Will be a lovely addition to the local community. I can't disagree, though. You're right. Will you be in the town itself or one of the villages out in the hills, Kate? Really looking forward to it. We love that part of Portugal. That's where we were first stranded, in fact, on the Silver Coast. But yes, a really nice turn up for the books out in the hills around Caldash. I'll be nearer to the dock as well, so we can probably do this in person one day at a Portuguese cafe. Which would be great. Thanks for confirming no annual prescription certificate. So our prescription similar price as UK and pay per item, Doc?
You don't pay a flat rate per item, but what you get is a deep discount on the retail price. That discount varies, I believe, according to the condition and the class of prescription, but they're really cheap. I think I've said before, my painkillers for a month's supply, I have very complex painkillers. For a month's supply were supposed to be 28 euros, and I think they went down to about 5 euros after the prescription discount.
Well, that makes analgesia easier, doesn't it? If any marketing executives from pharmaceutical companies are watching, you can have that one on me this morning. So there you go, Sarah. And if you are, wind it in a bit, you marketing executives for pharmaceutical companies. I caught COVID in March 2020 and had to sleep sitting up. So that is my fear of going back to that. Understood. Let T speak. Also lost my taste for a bit and my hair thinned. Wow. Too bad for my waist. Too bad my waistline didn't thin as well. Unfortunately, not one of the results there of COVID. So yeah, I can understand why you would be anxious there. Let T speak. To be honest, even I, one of the most laid back people on the planet, has had a sense of anxiety when out and about in crowded places. Come on, this is me you're talking about. This just shouldn't happen. Yeah, understood. There is a massive and understandable climate of fear, isn't there, that makes everybody think twice, at least twice, maybe more. We are coming out into a very different world to the world most people have known, right? I mean, we can't underestimate that, can we, Doc? Things have changed.
No, things have changed. There's no doubt. The question is how long that change is going to remain. We go through crises as humanity on a fairly regular basis. Last century we had 2 world wars and 1 World Cup. Sorry, no, we had 2 world wars we pledged at the end of both to build a society that was going to be fair and just and fit for heroes, and we were going to do everything to prevent war. And what do? We have a consensus that lasts 25 years, and then we end up screwing the workers for all we can. We end up, we never stopped in being involved militarily in other countries. We had the ongoing standoff with the Eastern Bloc. So, yeah, we might change our habits as a species for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but things move on, and they always will.
Indeed, well said there. And it will be interesting to see if after this this global phenomenon, the like of which we haven't seen really in this shape, do you think it will precipitate a similar spirit of like, we've had a lucky escape, we've had a reality check, let's build like we did? I mean, I don't want to use phrases like build back better, and I don't really want to leave it to the politicians, but do you think there might be a sense, like a post-war sense of, okay, we've understood what life's really about now, let's do things differently? Or will we just go back to our usual old human habits, do you think?
I think all hope is lost for the politicians, or for the want of a better word, the ruling classes, in terms of organizing society. But in terms of individuals, and within communities, I'm hopeful that this will lead to a stronger sense of community. I think particularly in places where that had been lost, like the UK, not so much Portugal. I don't think, Portugal has had a strong sense of community, from my experience, certainly a much stronger sense than the UK did. But I'm hoping that at least in the UK there will be more understanding within communities.
Well said. We shall see, of course. We shall see. Paul and Louise saying to the other Paul, Algarve removal should be able to advise you on any duty due or baggage certificates. I'm sure that's part of the service they offer. Mm-hmm. Pete's asking you how you're getting on with your matriculation. Doc, do you want to speak of your matriculation?
Well, we're not in a rush because the insurance lasts until July. So we will probably get it done sort of May or June time. But yeah, we haven't pursued it yet. We'll probably be trying to get the certificate off the embassy in late May.
Some say it might be a good job you're not in a rush. So good luck. What's thoughts with that? If there is no tax on our belongings, then I'll pack up my bags now. Did he say all of that just to make that joke, I wonder? Oh, yeah. The puns. Yes, that's so pun necessary. Does anyone know of a Portuguese bank that will open an account entirely online for someone in the US? Activo is possible, but it's quite difficult to do that. They want to see you, or appoint a power of attorney here to do that on your behalf. E.T. McKay, have you got anything further to say on that, Doc?
Well, I think you have to have a fiscal representative, don't you? If you're not in the country, you're going to actually transact anything in Portugal. And if you're not going to transact anything in Portugal before you get here, then what's the rush? They opened my bank account very rapidly. That was Activo, very rapidly when I first opened it a couple of years ago. And to be fair, I'd let it sort of fall into abeyance. I'd even stopped paying the payments on my credit card, which was there's only a balance of €100 on it. When I walked into the branch in Leiria on arrival, it took about 2 days to get it up and running again. They were fantastic.
Incredible. So, but yeah, it's difficult to do that. You can get power of attorney set up to do it for you, but there's no sort of bells and whistles, high tech Revolut style thing that is recognisable as a Portuguese bank, as far as I'm aware. Okay, a really good news story to finish with. Just a couple more comments. Kate Gimblett: many things are much cheaper in Portugal. The subscription fee for my membership in the Portuguese Association of Financial Economists, the PAF, the PAFE, nice acronym, cost €40. UK equivalent is £220. However, Green Tech and many other products do not have a mass market that exists in larger countries and tend to be more expensive. Time for a new roaring 20s. Yes, absolutely. That's what I was hoping for. A renaissance. And we've learned about politicians even more in this period, and perhaps can wean ourselves off that terrible habit of needing politicians to lead us. Can I have some advice re-mobile broadband, please? Says Bearders222. We're a bit late in the day. I mean, there's three main companies: Vodafone, Mayo, and NOS. Go shop and make sure they're good in the area you're choosing. That's the main thing. Solo 50 plus, turning off the TV, excellent suggestion. I hope I'm not included in that. I am in the process of opening a bank account with Million Bank remotely from the UK, and will be issued with a NIF too, says Paul Richards. Well done. Tell us more, but not right now, Paul. We need to move on to this good news story after we've had a final a joke, and I use the term loosely here, from Paul at the Circus School. I entered a competition for puns once. I sent in 10 puns. I didn't win. No pun in 10 did. Ay. Okay, let's have a look now at this rather marvelous. Well, I saw it on Facebook last night, and I think you'll appreciate and like this, Doc. This is the Kim, who was on Facebook saying the following, if it will load up for me, about the service she had in Portugal. Okay, just scrolling down now. Bear with. And it was great to see this yesterday. Slightly shocking at first. If I can find it again, I might have to do control. Sorry about this. This is happening because of my wanting to share something with you and how elaborate that's become in the process. But it's Kim. It was a story that Gary was referring to earlier on. Oh, okay, here we go. Found it now. In May 2019, says Kim, I had a massive heart attack here in Portugal. Ambulance called, overnight in Coimbra Hospital, stent fitted next day, and sent home day after. Brilliant care and attention. Today, I received my bill, and pardon the language here, but bloody rip-off. Thank you to the Portuguese NHS who saved my life. Now, this is what I want to bring onto the screen to show you. Here's the bill for everybody to see. €8.40, wasn't it? Does it say? And that, I believe, was just for the ambulance. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So there you go. After all that talk today about the Portuguese health system, a lovely little Facebook post from Kim there. €8.40, incredible service. I mean, let's face it, life-saving service there, and for the princely sum of €8.40, which I suspect she delivered personally, with a bottle of champagne and chocolates and flowers for everybody concerned there. Fantastic. Final thought then, Doc, from you, if you want to have one, if you want to share one. Thank you for being with us today. Always good value. The onion.
Thank you. Well, the world is like a great big onion, isn't it? I'm just glad that we're coming out of the state of emergency, and look forward to continued progress. I think that it's been noticeably busier on the roads here, and although nothing like what it ever was in Birmingham, but so yeah, a welcome sight.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to celebrate with us this week, our celebrations begin tomorrow night. Doc and I, of course, Doc is secretary of the wine club. This is the brew that we're trying tomorrow. Wine 42, the Villa de Corgos Branco brew. Join us from 9 p.m. to savor that. If wine's not your thing, join us on Friday night at the Man Cave for the Battle of the Beers. And we will probably not be settling the argument, but we'll have some fun trying which is best, Sagres or Superboc. And then
the Northerners against the Southerners again.
It really is, isn't it? It's that sort of thing. You're never far away from that wherever you go in the world, it seems. And then again on Saturday night, 1st of May, May Day. Do you want to say anything about May Day and its relevance now, Doc?
Oh, well, May Day was always the workers' holiday, and of course, it became synonymous with the labour movement throughout the world, and then became the target of attempts by the neoliberal right to abolish it as a bank holiday in the UK. But it still has tremendous importance as a focus for the labour movement around the world.
Yep, absolutely. And if we're raising a glass to that, I think we should join us at 8 p.m. on for another program like this in association with Wine O'Clock in Zoom, one of our fellow boozing buddy communities. Good morning, Portugal, Expats Portugal, raising a glass for freedom, respect, and health. See how I tied it in there with May Day, Doc? So 3 opportunities in a row to celebrate this new Roaring 20s atmosphere that hopefully we're going into next week. Final comments from you, though. Kim's here. Thanks for the mention. I can't express my gratitude enough to the Portuguese Health Service. So there you go, Kim. And I think that's not the end of it. I mean, you've had other incidents and run-ins with the health system here and found it to be fabulous in every one of those experiences, I believe. Bring out the maypole. Ooh, Mrs. Ooh, matron. Don't worry, Kate. I'll be bringing my maypole to Caldash. That's what will be bringing the prices down over there. See you tomorrow, Pickle. That's your new nickname, the Pickled Onion. And Tease, Let Tea Speak is a bit upset with us. What? That is all? Yes, we've been in 90 minutes. Let Tea Speak. Doc's probably got other things to do. He's got to go and check his SIM collection now. Annabella says you can check your internet straight. That's a really good link to have. About the internet. So when you're looking at a house, log on to that, find out what the signal's like. That's really great. Thanks, Annabella. Amazing health system, says Angie Rose. Indeed, USA 4 hours in an emergency room equal $12,000. The land of the free and the brave and the highly expensive medical system. Unbelievable, isn't it? Let T speak. There's a discrepancy from private hospitals to public. That's why I'm not commenting on it. Thank you, Joel, for restraining yourself. Podcast later today. Oh yeah, all of these are turned into a podcast and are watchable again on YouTube. So absolutely, if that's what you mean. And we had an Ateyamanya from Paul and Louise. Thank you for that. And also Joe's here as well. Hey Joe, haven't seen you for a while. Over COVID, I found the health service to be very slow. I wonder what that means. That's quite a broad comment there, Joe. But let's see what these weeks bring, and hopefully you'll get to feel better about that. Okay, Andy, the Doc, thank you so much. See you tomorrow night.
It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you, everyone.
And no one's tapped on your window, have they?
No.
I'm looking forward to that day. I really am, in my slightly mischievous way. Cheers, Andy. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.